Hey everybody, Dr. Mike Hattabaugh at HeroMarriage.com. Today I want to give you a new way to solve your disagreements. Stay tuned. So in my coaching business, one of the things that I'm encountering a lot lately are couples that are struggling to agree on how to parent, how to solve their financial problems, how to solve how they spend their time, what vacations to go on, their sex life, lots of things. And one of the things I've discovered is that the mistake that most couples are making is assuming that one of them is right and one of them is wrong. The reality is that usually couples come to these disagreements from some sort of truth. That in other words, they're both true. So like when you see the ocean meet the land, which one wins? Is the ocean more important or is the land more important? The reality is that it depends on your perspective, right? If you're in a car, you want to be on the land. If you're in a boat, you want to stay out in the water. So the reality is in relationships is oftentimes because we're people, we're creatures that are about being different. It's one of the reasons that attract us to each other is because we have different goals and different ideas. That it's not necessarily a bad thing that we disagree. So today, I want to give you a brand new way to think about how to solve that when you're actually both right, which I would argue the vast majority of arguments that I've heard from couples is at a baseline true. Now, what happens is over the years, those arguments become distorted, they become out of kilter, and then all of a sudden, we aren't arguing out of a place of truth, we're arguing out of exaggeration. But this method will help you come back from that and help you refocus and find a truth. All right, so let me give you an example. An example is that often parents disagree about parenting. I've dealt with multiple couples recently that were having a debate about how to parent both young kids, teenage kids, and even grown adult kids. And one of the things that I ended up discussing with them was that they both were trying to solve the problem, but from a different perspective. Here's an example of one that's really common, is that for some couples, it's about safety. So one partner might say, this is about safe. We can't let our child go do this, or we have to protect them from this because it's a safety issue. While the other partner might be saying, well, but it's emotional and we have to let them, succeed. And if we keep them from doing this, then I'm concerned, about their future. Well, both of those are valid arguments. One, a security argument, one, an emotional-based argument. Those aren't necessarily in disagreement with each other. So what I challenge you to do is instead of just keep trying to convince your partner that you're right or convince your partner that they're wrong, instead go, you know what, we're both right here. Both of our concerns are valid. So let's agree to that. And now, based on that, let's put those on a scale. Let's talk about them deeply, and then we can decide, is it more important, in this case, to be safe, or is it more important that our child get some emotional stability? That's just one example, by the way. This could be intellectual concerns, it could be schooling, it could be financial situations. There's lots of things that we can put into this boat. And almost every disagreement in your marriage, whether it's with kids or with each other, you can put in this way. So let's say, for instance, one of you is a saver and one of you is a spender. And let's say one of you wants to go out and buy this new fancy car. So then you sit down and go, okay, do we need a new car? Yeah, the old car is getting old and it's not safe and we need to make this trip. That's a safety issue, right? And we can list those things and talk about them as a safety issue. The other partner is like, wait a minute, we can't go into debt. We're Dave Ramsey fans and I don't believe in debt and debt is a bad thing and we don't need a new car yet. We need to save up some more. That is also a valid concern. So now we have this financial debate and a safety debate within our marriage. Guess what? You're both right. The question then becomes, what becomes more important in the scale of things? Now, this is going to be personal because oftentimes what happens is one of you feels more strongly about safety and one of you feels more strongly connected to getting into debt. I'm not going to pick for you because every circumstance here is completely different. The goal here being is that if the two of you sit down and agree on this, my guess is that at some point you'll come to a conclusion that, you know what, you're right. Right now, the debt. We can't go into debt. So let's put this off a little longer in order to keep from going into debt. Or maybe you come together and go, you know what? I have this dangerous route to go to work. There was just 3 fatal accidents on it last week. And yeah, we really don't want to be, going into debt, but right now that safety is more important. Now, don't email me about what your opinion is on this, because it's unique to every couple. And yes, there are some principles that you ought to put in place. And yes, you should go find Dave Ramsey and find out from him what you ought to do with your finances in that perspective. However, inside your marriage, ultimately these decisions are going to affect you. So when you sit down and talk about them and go, all right, let's weigh these out. Many of these decisions, especially like in the parenting world and in the short-term financial world. Now, if you're going to go get a 7-year car loan, that's not something you can do like this. But many of them you can say, you know what? I agree that right now it seems like this element of this decision is more important to both of us than my element. And you go, okay, so right now, for the next period of time, and I'm going to suggest for most of these decisions, you try to aim for about 3 months. Now, again, it depends on what the problem is that you're facing. But a lot of times 3 months is a good time to go, let's try this for 3 months. Let's try a new budget for 3 months and see if we can save $300 extra. My wife just ran a retirement calculator for us, and it said that we needed to save $6,000 a month for the next 8 years to reach our retirement goal. That's not going to happen. And so the reality is all right, well, that's the optimum, but that's not reality. So how do we change it from there? All right. So that's how you do this. So the way to solve disagreements is to go, okay, let's look at what kind of problem is this? Our disagreements always can be boiled down to, like I said, look at it from a security context. Usually it's either emotional security, financial security, safety, physical security. So like being physically safe. Intellectual security. All of these things are disagreements that we have inside, and most disagreements we have in couples are about the context between those. There's one kind of safety pushed up against another. Now, occasionally, it's a disagreement about one area. So, for instance, financial security. One of you is a spender, one of you is a saver. So, how much should you have in savings? Should it be $1,000 or $15,000? Well, that depends on what you need to spend it on, right? So if you have $1,000 in savings and the baby needs diapers, well, guess what? It's thousands enough. You need to go get those diapers. But if you have $1,000 in savings and you'd like $15,000, or you'd like to go buy a new Lexus, guess what? You need to get that 3 to 6 months of expenses, as again Dave Ramsey says. I'm kind of stuck on Dave today. But anyway, those are good examples of how you weigh those and go, okay, this is more important right now than this. And you have to weigh those things each time. But the key point in all of this is that far too many of the disagreements we have in marriage are about things that actually we're both right on, that we both have a point. And that if we'll stop for a minute and listen to that, then we can solve it and go, okay, which one right now weighs just a little more? Put it on the scales of importance in your relationship, and I promise you that the vast majority of the time, you'll come out with a winner. Here's the problem. The reason why couples seem to fight over and over and over about the same things is you never put that into context. One of you gets a little bit ahead and the other goes, oh, I need to put more weight on my side. And so you're constantly doing this. And that's why you're fighting about the same things over and over and over. You've got to stop that. And this is the way to do it. All right. So remember, a great way, a new way to solve disagreements is to weigh it from the context that you're both right. Come from that context and say, all right, we're both right. Which one right now meets the needs of us better? Which one of these? And it's not we're going to choose yours permanently. It's we're going to go, okay, looks like yours is a little more important right now. So let's give it a period of time. I suggest 3 months for most of these decisions and see how that works. And then we'll reevaluate it 3 months down the road. And I may have go, yeah, I was right. I'm glad we went this way. Or we may go, you know what? I was wrong. We need to go to your direction. Now, sometimes those balances still aren't true, but ultimately you got to pick. And I would say if you're completely balanced, what I would say to do, now this is really rare, really, really rare. But when you both feel like you're both so right that it weighs evenly, then ultimately I would flip a coin and say, you know what, we can't win in this one. Let's flip a coin. And for the next 3 months, the winner, we're going to go that direction. Then after that, we'll see how that goes and see if it's still evenly balanced. And if so, the next 3 months we'll flip over to the other side. All right. The goal here is not to keep fighting about the same things every day over and over and over. Nobody really wants to do that. So if you're doing that, try this method. Let me know down below how it works out, or if you've already done this or a version of this yourself. I'd love to hear how it works, because I think it will revolutionize many couples who seem to constantly fight about the same things. I'm Dr. Mike Hattabaugh. I really appreciate you following this video. If you know somebody that could use it, would you please share it with them? And as always, hit that subscribe button and that like button, because it helps us to share this video with even more people that can use it. There's some notes down below that'll send you to our webpage about how you can take some of our relationship and marriage courses that I promise will help you a lot if you'll get involved in them. There's also a Patreon page if you like these videos that you can help us out by giving us, a cup of coffee or two every now and then. I sure appreciate you watching this all the way to the end. It means the world to me, and I hope that you have a hero marriage.